Good evening, otherworldlies. This is Queen Juliana, your Dark Mask Diva. Alright, so I was talking about picking a struggle. This is something different. This is called Pick Your Hard, Hard. Okay, this is not the same thing at all. This is a completely different concept. And someone was saying, oh, pick a struggle. Is that like pick your heart? No, but I will do a content on pick your heart if you want me to. So, want to hear about it? Like to hear it? Here it go. Okay, pick your hard. Pick your hard is different than pick a struggle. Pick your hard is based upon the premise that everything is going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge now, or it's going to be a challenge later. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to either procrastinate or you're going to have to do it now. Okay, so it's whatever you do, it's going to be hard. Okay, so it's like you're not going to avoid doing something hard in life. Okay, there's going to be a point in your life where something's going to be hard. Like you're gonna be thrown a curveball. There's gonna be a hurdle. Something is just going to be a challenge. You're going to hit rough patches in the road, and something is going to be hard. Okay, I will talk about myself. Okay, because it's easier to talk about yourself than somebody else. I think it's better to talk about myself in this case than just try to use somebody else as an example, because I talk about other people enough. Okay, so let me talk about myself. I suffered from anxiety. Okay, and the fact that I suffered from anxiety, that's how I became addicted to tranquilizers. All right, so I was picking my hard by becoming addicted to tranquilizers. Okay, I thought that taking these pills would kill my anxiety and that I would be able to function better if I was taking these tranquilizers. Okay, now it wasn't 100% my fault because a doctor was giving me these tranquilizers and they didn't realize how dangerous they actually were until I was hooked on them, and I would get sick unless I took them. Okay, so I tried to quit and I had severe withdrawals, and I do not recommend quitting cold turkey, but that's what I had to do because I was paralyzed at the time and I knew I was not going to walk unless I quit taking them. Okay, so that's what I had to do in order to walk again, and I had congestive heart failure. Okay, so I was picking my heart. All right, it would have been better if they would have given me something else that was non-addictive to deal with my anxiety. It would have been better if my life would have been easier, but that's just how it goes. All right, it would have been better if I had more information on how to manage my emotional dysregulation. A lot of things would have been easier. Okay, I had a lot of trauma in my life, and I'm sure a lot of people watching have had a lot of trauma in their life. A lot of people watching these self-help videos, not just mine, but a lot, they're just like, hey, my life, I've gone through a lot of phases where my life really sucked, and I didn't know that if I'd ever make it out, okay? We've all hit some hard times. So, if you think I'm on here saying we don't have victims on this channel, no, I've gone through some really bad things, okay? So I'm not on here, looking down on people for going through stuff. I've been through some stuff, okay, or else I never would have been addicted to those pills. But in November, I will have 7 years clean and sober. So I'm really happy to say that, and just grateful to God and the universe and everything that just brought me out of that addiction. And I'm proud of myself for fighting it and getting out of it. And that was me picking my heart. I decided I wanted to walk again, and I wanted to do everything I could just so I never had to get addicted to something again, okay, and not take those pills again. So I go to this class, and I just don't take those pills anymore. That's basically what I do, and I had to face a lot of emotional demons, and I just had to find ways to relax. And I had to realize that a lot of my behaviors stemmed around trying to calm down. I had a lot of self-soothing behaviors, and I realized that a lot of that I was really unhappy, and I was really displeased with the way my life was going. Okay, and I had to just face a lot of life dissatisfaction, and I didn't like where I was at, and and then I realized I have to have a do-over. I have to start my life over again and just recreate myself and reinvent myself and just do a complete do-over. So I realized I was going to have to start from scratch again, and that's just the way it was going to have to be. And that was me picking my heart. Okay, and sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to start over again. But I was taking a lot of life experience with me to start over again. I was, rediscovering who I was as a person. And so sometimes, not all is lost. I was just rediscovering who I was, and it was really scary. I'm not going to lie, it was absolutely terrifying. Okay, but that was around the time I started to have a channel, and I'm like, hey, why don't I give YouTube a try? I mean, that would be fun. So I realized I had a lot of advice to give and that I wanted to help people, and maybe there was a lot of people out there like me who were like-minded and wanted to hear what I had to say. So I was picking my heart, okay? I was thinking this would be therapeutic for me, and hopefully people who are watching me might get something out of it. And I was hoping to help people, maybe make some coin, that would be nice too. So at the time, I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was taking these pills, and they would help ease my anxiety, and I would be able to get through life. Okay, it was just the wrong decision at the time, and I mean, I was addicted to them for over a decade. So that really changed my brain chemistry. All right, I am really coming from a place where it was a long-term addiction to these pills, and so if I'm coming up on 7 years, and I can't wait till it's more than 10 years, because it's going to be, I want the time for me to be clean to be longer than the time that I was on them, because I can't wait to be that person. I'm going to be happy when I'm that person. Okay, I'm going to be really stoked when I'm that person. I'm already stoked to be the person I am now. But picking your heart, okay, this is how I feel about picking your heart. Okay, this year you may have seen one of my contents where I'm talking about my New Year's resolutions, and that was several months ago. But my resolution this year was not to procrastinate. That has to do with picking your heart, okay? Not procrastinating, that is something that takes a lot of self-discipline, all right? That's one of the things that you can do immediately to get ahead in your life. Maybe you're getting up a little earlier, okay? I hate that a lot, but I'm just like explaining that sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to get up earlier, make your phone calls, do your errands, do whatever, and just get things out of the way. Make a to-do list. We hate to-do lists, but maybe you just get out your little piece of paper and make your to-do list, and try to do as many things you can do in one day without multitasking. Do not multitask. Multitasking is actually it's actually kind of, I don't want to say it's a hoax, but it's something that's not real. Okay, like you can never really multitask, because you need to focus on one thing at a time. Okay, so make sure you're doing one thing and then crossing it off and moving on to the next thing, okay? Because multitasking is just not really a thing. Okay, don't try to do several things at once, because your attentions are always going to be scattered. So it is not a productive thing to do to multitask. And if people say that you can multitask, that is just false. Like, don't even try to do it. Try to put all your focus into your one thing so you do that thing right. All right? And don't have people say, you can multitask because you're female. You can multitask because you've adapted to it. Blah, blah, blah. You can multitask. No, people aren't meant to multitask. We're meant to focus on one thing and do it. Okay, when you do things, you want to do things right. You don't want to be on the phone and have a bunch of noise in the background. You want to do something right. You want to be able to be mentally and emotionally present when you do something. All right, you don't want to be driven to distraction. All right, when they say the devil is in the details, no, the devil is in the distraction. You don't want to be distracted. You want to be doing things the right way. So when you're picking your hard, you don't want to procrastinate. You want to do things right away, and you want to do things the right way. You want to time things, and you want to be realistic. You want to say, this should take me X amount of time. Give yourself a deadline, all right? And say, this should take X amount of time, and be realistic about it. Don't say, this should take 5 minutes when you know it should take an hour. Know when you get on the phone with a certain agency or whatever that they're going to keep you on hold for a long time, all right? And if they're going to keep you on hold for a long time, maybe you can do something else while they have you on hold. Maybe. I mean, if you know they're going to keep you on hold for a long time, yeah, maybe that's a time to multitask. Maybe you could balance a checkbook or something. I don't know. But just be realistic about it, okay? Don't say, oh, this should take 10 or 15 minutes when you know they may keep you on there for 1 or 2 hours. You may just set the day aside to do this particular thing. You know it's going to be irritating. And tell yourself, I fully expect this to be irritating, and that's okay. I know this is going to be irritating, and treat yourself to a coffee afterwards. Just make your day about doing this particular thing and getting it over with, all right? Because you don't want to do it, and you're thinking, the sooner it's over with, the sooner I can do this. Take it off the list and have that coffee I want to have, okay? That's what you want to do. So you want to pick your heart, and you want to get these things over with, because if you're anything like me, I'm getting older and I'm forgetting things. If I don't put something down on the list and do it and get it over with, I'm going to forget about it, because I'm going to get distracted by this, that, and everything else. Okay? If I don't do it, it's going to be lost in the sea of forgetfulness. I'm going to see something that I need to do around the house, and I'm going to do it because it's right in front of me. I'm going to be like, oh, really, this needs to be cleaned up, or I'd really like to rearrange this, or I'd like to do this, or I just see something I would rather be doing, and that thing is going to distract me. I've got some inattention issues going on, so trust me. I'm going to get distracted by whatever is in the house that looks interesting, that looks more interesting, and my mind is going to wander, and I'm going to get lost in doing whatever, and I'm going to perseverate, and I'm going to do whatever. Okay, if you don't know what perseveration means, it's sometimes like when you have like ADD and ADHD, it's when you go back and forth from this task to that task, to this task to that task. So if you do that, it's called perseveration, all right? And it's absolutely maddening. And you don't get either one done because you're going back and forth, getting distracted, doing both of these things, and you're not focusing in on that one thing that needs to be done. And it's probably because it's not written down, and you have a hard time, you have inattention issues. So if you don't know what that is, that's what that is, all right? So picking your hard means getting it done now, because if you leave it to the last minute, it's going to get worse. Because when you leave things to the last minute, you think you're going to be more productive at the last minute, because that panic is going to set in, and you think you're going to be more creative, and you think you're not going to have anxiety because you're just going to do it like this. No, because when you leave it to the last minute, it gets more complicated, and people get mad at you. They think you don't care. They think that it's not your priority, and they are going to blame you, and they're going to think you're flaky, and people, it's not like you want to be somebody that everybody relies on to do everything, but if they know that they can't and they were counting on you to do something, it's people don't understand that you get distracted. Okay, they you don't want people to think you're flaky, or there's something wrong with your mind, or they can't trust you with things, or you're just ditzy, or you don't want people to think of you like that. Okay, you want people to think of you that you're competent, that you're trustworthy, that you're a solid person, that you don't have problems. Okay, they want to think that you're capable, and you want to not be mad at yourself at the end of the day. You don't want to say, I was going to do this 5 minutes ago, and then a month later you've completely forgotten about it, because believe me, the older you get, the more prevalent this becomes. We get cognitive decline as we get older. Okay, the older we get, the more medications we're on. Okay, the more we just forget things, and that's a part of getting older. Okay, from when you're 20 years old, this starts from when you're 20 years old. Okay, the mind stops forming at 25, so at 25 you start aging and you start forgetting things. Okay, and there's nothing much you can do about it, because that's just a part of aging. Okay, and you walk into the room and you're like, why was I in this room? Okay, so when that starts happening, it's time to stop procrastinating. So you pick your heart, you do it right away, because if you don't, you're gonna have, you can't afford to take shortcuts anymore. All right. Now, what happens is, you're aging, you're getting older, you start getting aches and pains. All right, you may have to start doing more things before the pain starts kicking in, before you start losing control of the day, before you start forgetting everything you were meant to do, before you just run out of motivation. Because if you're like me, I have a certain amount of motivation for the day, and then that's it. I have a certain amount of patience for the day, and that's it. Okay, I exhausted all my patience on so-and-so, and I'm sorry, you got here too late. So-and-so got all my patience. You're gonna have to go. That's it. Sorry. And it's like, the older I get, the less patience I have for bozos, narcissists, and just people who don't have their thinking caps on. I'm sorry, I think I'm a nice person, but I don't think I'm a nice person today. I think I'm done being nice for the day. You're gonna have to go. My bad. Sorry. And and it's just like, the less patience I have for people, and I want to be kind, but it's just not your day. I mean, and I'm getting less patient with people with bad kids and noise and all these other things. So you just don't want to go there around me. So I want to get everything there is to get done, so I don't have to be around all that, right? And I know a lot of you older people know exactly what I'm talking about, because you don't want to be around that either. That's irritating. So what you want to do is not procrastinate. You want to itemize your time. You want to set realistic goals. All right. You want to tackle things first, because they're going to become more complicated. Okay, and it's all going to be hard. There's no use putting it off, because it's all hard. You just have to pick your heart. And no matter what, the worst thing you can be in life is indecisive. So make a decision, because there's going to be drawbacks to every decision you make. If you sit around and go, well, if I make this decision, then this can go wrong. But if I make that decision, then that can go wrong. And you can sit and drive yourself absolutely crazy trying to make the right decision. Okay, and you can go back and forth in your mind, just baffling yourself with all of it. But people are going to absolutely not be able to stand you if you can't make a decision. And that is the sign of a weak mind. You need to be decisive. It's not just for gangsters, it's for everybody. Everybody needs to be decisive, all right, for you to move forward with your life. If you can't be decisive, you can't be successful at anything. So you need to be decisive, get up, decide that you're going to do whatever it takes, and just do it, okay? And it's really, life is all about picking your heart, okay? It's like, all right, today I really need to do this. I don't want to. Half the time, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like, I really need to do this. I don't feel like it. I mean, for somebody who has clinical depression like I do, half the time I don't feel like whatever it is. I'm like, okay, if I just push myself a little bit, if I just take it step by step. Okay, now I'm going to do this. Okay, I did this part. Now I'm going to do this part. And you know what? It's like it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. You know, it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. Half the time in my mind, I'm making it way harder, you know, because my imagination is just reeling. And I'm picturing a task to be much harder than it really was. And that's what we do as human beings, is we make tasks in our mind to be harder than they were. But just be realistic about your tasks and just take them step by step. And sometimes it's baby steps, but that's the worst thing you could do is do nothing. So pick your heart. And I hope this resonated with somebody. I hope it helps somebody. And I will see you in the next content. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you so much for viewing, and I love you all. Bye-bye.